Hey, I'm Luke. Here we discover albums that are truly vinyl worthy. In this series we dive deep into the discographies of various artists, album by album, song by song, in the search for vinyl worthy releases. My criteria for a vinyl worthy album is simple. It must be a collection of tracks that I enjoy from start to finish, with no tracks that I wish to skip. If an artist features in this series, then you can guarantee that at least one of their releases is considered vinyl worthy. Let's jump right into it. Billy Bragg is an English singer-songwriter and activist known for blending folk, punk and protest music. Born in Essex in 1957, he started performing in the late 1970s before making a name for himself in the early 80s with his stripped-down, politically charged songs. Over the decades, Billy has earned widespread acclaim for his sharp social commentary, working-class storytelling and commitment to activism. His career has seen him collaborate with legendary artists, campaign for workers' rights, and perform at major political and cultural events, cementing his place as one of Britain's most influential protest musicians. I first discovered Billy when I came across the music video for Levi Stubbs' Tears, probably as far back as 2013. However, I didn't pursue his music further until he came back on my radar when I discovered California Stars, thanks to the power of algorithm recommendations back in 2016, that would have been. And we're going to start with his first release in 1983, Life's a Riot with Spy vs. Spy. So as you can see from my ratings, this is a bit of a mix. Billy's debut sees pretty much every track featuring just himself, mostly on an electric guitar with reverb, and if you can get past the production style, there's some good tunes here. Extra credit due to Billy, as it's not easy to have such bare bones arrangements and production. For me, I find that the production quality grates on me after not too long, and the first disc is best consumed in small doses. A great example of how a similar production quality works best for me is on the Replacement's Let It Be with the final track, Answering Machine. Answering Machine is rough and raw, and it stands out as a highlight when the other tracks have differing sonic qualities. Now, if we imagine that all of the other tracks on Let It Be had the same sonic quality of being rough and raw, then the final track wouldn't stand out. And to me, that's how Life's a Riot with Spy vs. Spy feels, where all of the tracks seem to have a sound which they just blend in all together, and it's to its detriment, in my opinion. The first two tracks grew on me, and with track 2, one of the things that strikes me returning back to Billy's debut after having gone through his entire discography is just how consistent his musical output has been, and how he never wavered away from what he stood for. The writing on the likes of tracks 1, 2, 4 and 7, they never really left him. If he was to write a song today, then you would be able to tell it was a Billy Bragg song, and that these were his roots. Track 4 is one of Billy's most successful hits. It's a fine track, but not doing all that much for me personally. Disc 2 is the extras of the original release, and the production varies across the tracks, which is refreshing for me. On version 1 of The Cloth, I hear Bruce Springsteen influences here big time. The pre-chorus reminds me of the pre-chorus to Born to Run. I also hear Bruce on track 4, Speedway Hero. This could easily have been a Bruce Springsteen song. I had to check to make sure it wasn't, actually. And he's also not sounding too far off of Billy Joel, in my opinion. What I like best about this track is that Billy's on his acoustic, and the clean production shows off his vocal abilities in the best of ways. Track 5 is another favourite of mine, perfect production for a fun pop song. When it comes to track 6, This Guitar Says Sorry, the heavy phasing was a good choice on this one. It could grow on me to be a keeper. And for the final track, on track 11, Fear is a Man's Best Friend, I love the roughness on this one. It's a solid keeper. A year later in 1984, Billy releases Brewing Up with himself, Billy Bragg. And again, it's quite mixed. I appreciate that the arrangements are more fleshed out this time, and there's still some production issues that I have with this album, but it's an improvement overall. Like with the opener, it says here, while I like the guitar work on this version, the vocals feel lost in the mix by comparison. The length becomes extra grating with the production for me too. There's an alternative version that remedies all my issues with it, however, and that is the version that becomes a keeper. The Saturday Boy is a pillar. Billy's writing is on point here. It's got great flow and focus on melody. The production is perfect, and the trumpet is chef's kiss. Mwah. Next up, The Island of No Return grew on me to be a keeper. It's got good melody, suitable vocal delivery, and the production works for me on this one. I also like St. Swithin's Day. It's got lovely guitar work on this one. Moving on from those skippers, we have the final track of Disc 1, which is A Lover Sings, where the organ glues everything together so well. It's a good, solid track to end on. While I skip the opening track on disc 2, It Must Be a River, I do find that there is a similarity to Bryan Adams' Run to You, which I gotta admit, as kind of lame as Bryan Adams is, that song is really, really great. Track 2 is good, and it's a keeper, but it's got such a convoluted story behind it, so the things to note are that it's got Norman Cook of Fatboy Slim fame, and whether it came before or after Levi Stubbs' Tears, because there is the instrumental in that, which sounds like it is almost like a sample in a way. And yeah, something tells me that it came after it, and that it was with Fatboy Slim, or more like Norman Cook's Beat Internationale, where Billy collaborated with him, and it became a thing all on its own with them, and then this is like Billy releasing a version of it. I've probably got something wrong or mixed up there myself. It's such a convoluted one to get right, but yeah, congrats to you if you actually know the full origins of this song. There's quite a few covers on this disc, which I skip. There's Which Side Are You On, which is a folk song, and Billy does a pretty good job on it, which grew on me. And the final track is a great cover that massively improves the original. Okay, 1986, Talking with the Taxman About Poetry. Great title, and for me this is where Billy starts hitting a new stride. While this album may not be song for song perfect, this is a big leap for Billy's music, especially with the melodies. It's got bigger arrangements, and the production is a big improvement for the sound. Kenny Jones and John Porter produced this album after having produced For the Smiths, and they did a brilliant job. Greetings to the New Brunette is a great one to open up with. It's familiar with a mostly solo performance from Billy, but the sound is fresh. We have a big jangly acoustic guitar and some subtle additions, such as a slide guitar and backing vocals, which boost the track. Track 2 contradicts everything that I praised about the production, because this is one where the production is actually a bit much for me, and I have to skip it. I love track 3, The Marriage. The melody is killer on this one. The familiar trumpet from the Saturday Boy, combined with the head-bopping riff, claps, and Billy's fantastic vocals make for an easy pillar. However, the cover of Bob Dylan's Ideology is very forgettable, and I skip it. I'd rather listen to Bob's version. Levi Stubbs' Tears is one of Billy's biggest songs, and it sees him back on the electric with the reverb, and the tone is awesome. The subtle doubling on his vocals and percussion are mostly new methods with Billy's music thus far, and I love it. There Is Power in a Union is possibly one of Billy's most important songs. It is the ultimate folk activism song, and it feels like it would have been written decades before Billy's time. So I was really surprised when I discovered that he wrote it. Help Save the Youth of America, next up, is also a pillar for me, and this one does feel more like Billy. Next up we have two skippers, but then we pick back up with track 11, The Warmest Room. And this one has a very catchy groove. The jangly guitar is back in the chorus, which works very well, and the consistency and repeating tone makes for a cohesive sonic direction. This also follows through with the trumpet on the album closers too. So on disc 2, another 2006 reissue. While track 1 doesn't work for me, track 2, Deportees, certainly does. It reminds me of the Everly Brothers with the harmonising vocals. I love it. And this is a Woody Guthrie song. You'll be seeing a lot more of Woody Guthrie coming up, I promise. I also really like Billy's cover of The Tracks of My Tears. I find his playing style and his vocals suit this cover extremely well. Moving on to 1988 with Workers' Playtime. And despite the album's name and cover art, this album feels more like a collection of love songs than it does about activism. And while I like these tracks, I don't quite love them enough to consider them pillars. Cara Tivy is a standout on this album with her additional vocals throughout. I particularly enjoy the upbeat tempo on track 8, where Cara is great again. The final track, Waiting for the Great Leap Forwards, is without doubt the highlight of the album, and one of my favourite Billy songs, full stop. It blew me away right from the first listen. I feel like the gang vocals at the end of this track would have inspired Against Me with their track We Laugh at Danger and Break All the Rules, which is my favourite Against Me song. It'd be interesting to know if that was a direct influence or not. Again, we get another disc with a 2006 reissue. However, with all of these tracks, I skip them entirely. Then, in 1990, the Internationale EP is released, and it's a more politically focused selection of tracks with a mix of genre, from traditional anthems to world music. The second part comes from 1988's Live and Dubious, and then the final part, which is my favourite, are bonus tracks from a variety of sources. With the opener, the Internationale, I really want to enjoy this one, but the mix and recording just feels off to me. I really like track 3, it has a simple marching melody which reminds me of many football chants. Billy's singing in Spanish on track 5, and surprisingly, it's actually not that bad. Track 6 is a pillar for me, I love it. It's got folk legend Dick Gowan, and it's using the lyrics of the socialist anthem and putting it into the tune of a Scottish folk song, The White Cockade. Track 7 is a song written by Eric Bogle, and it's about the war between Ireland and Northern Ireland. Billy's arrangement captures the atmosphere in a more world music style, similar to how I'd imagine Lorena McKennitt, a favourite of mine, would do it. Mary Black also has a great version of this too, but Billy's is my favourite version of this song. Getting on to the Live and Dubious EP, I like to keep the introduction as it just fits the vibe of what's next to come with the great live version of Help Save the Youth of America. The next track, Think Again, is less energetic, but it's still pretty good. The live versions of To Have and To Have Not and There Is Power in the Union are also really good here too. I recommend these. So as you can see, I love the bonus tracks for the most part. Joe Hill is Billy covering Phil Oakes, who wrote this epic ballad of the legendary left-wing activist songwriter Joe Hill. Oakes wrote it to the tune of John Hardy, a traditional folk ballad which bore a similar story to the life of Joe Hill and his sentencing to death after being found guilty of murder. Billy's version uses the banjo in a more simplistic way than the way Earl Scruggs played it, Earl Scruggs being an absolute master and one of the most influential banjo players there is, by the way. And despite Scruggs' incredible playing, it's a little bit too busy for me and I prefer Billy's more simpler arrangement. This Land Is Your Land is another cover of the legendary Woody Guthrie, and Billy's version is my favourite version by far. Never Cross a Picket Line feels like it could be on one of Billy's first 3 albums, and it would stand out as one of his best. I'm not quite so into A Change Is Gonna Come, but the final track of Miner's Life grew on me to be a pillar. It's another old traditional folk song that Billy absolutely nails. While the Internationale may have been Billy's first 90s release, it doesn't have any particular indicator in sound that is from 1990, and that's a compliment. But don't take it the wrong way when I say that Don't Try This at Home sounds more of its time, because I say that in a loving way. On Accident Waiting to Happen, the opening rhythm guitar on this track ushers in the sound of the 90s perfectly. I love everything about this song, the drums, the vocals, the lead guitar, everything. With track 2, for a while I was veering towards skipping it, but I think my issue with it is that it's just sitting in a very tricky position between 2 of my favourite Billy tracks, and this track doesn't feel right being in this place in the track list. So track 3, Everywhere, is a cover with the original credited to Greg Trooper and Sid Griffin, and I have to say, this is easily one of the best songs I have ever heard. And much of that is down to Billy's arrangement and performance bringing out the best of this song, as I don't have anywhere near the same response to the original version. The chorus consistently chokes me up. I also love You Woke Up My Neighbourhood, it's a real fun one, and the addition of R.E.M's Peter Buck and particularly Michael Stipe's vocals on this one are a highlight. Track 6 stands out to me for how much Billy has grown as an artist at this point. It's lush. And track 7, not big on this one, it feels very similar to Moving the Goalposts. Track 9, Sexuality, is another one of Billy's best. From the lyrics, melody, production, arrangements and performances from Billy, it's got Johnny Marr and Kirsty MacColl. They all hit it out of the park. Incredible song. With Tank Park Salute, I feel very similar to the way I did with Trust on this one. Dolphins became a pillar. It's a cover of Fred Neil, and I, again, way prefer this version. No question. Cara Tivi's vocals are perfect. Okay, so North Sea Bubble is tricky because I like the verses, however I hate the modulations so much that I just can't listen to this song. I love track 15, Wish You Were Here. I think it's the first time we hear Billy singing in this range of his head voice. It reminds me a little of Silent Sigh, one of Badly Drawn Boy's best songs. I've already covered Badly Drawn Boy's discography, so if that sounds interesting, check it out. We end on the up-tempo Body of Water, and I don't feel this is the right one to end on as it's just not a memorable track. So to sum it up, this is a very solid album, just with a few minor issues. Now, 1996 sees Billy release William Bloke, and Billy had taken his longest gap between albums at this point, and in that time he had become a father and was in a different state of mind, so this is very much an album about transitioning through fatherhood. I find that on the opening track, it's a really odd one for energy to lead with. Like, the themes of this song is more relevant now than ever, but as a song, it's very skippable. And then you have Upfield, and this has the energy I would have expected to have led with. It has a very commercial sounding horn section, like it could be used for a DFS sale advertisement. I don't watch TV, I haven't watched it in years. They still go in DFS with those fucking adverts. Anyways, which is really funny to take something which is so capitalistic as a DFS ad and then pair it with lyrics such as I've got socialism of the heart. Everybody Loves You Babe, it's another roller coaster energy switcheroo. I will return to Sugar Daddy later, but with track 5, a picked song, this one really grew on me. The guitar work is great and the tone is fat. Good old Billy's rocking out on this one. So Brickbat is the best track to encompass the theme of fatherhood and how it has changed Billy. It's lovely and the strings are perfection on it. The Space Race Is Over is another one that really grew on me. Billy's lyrics are fantastic. My favourite part is when he retells his son's words, "Why did they ever go?" And the ending is also clever with how it ends on the words, and I can't help but feel that we're all just going nowhere, and how the chords don't have a route back to the tonic to give us the sense of completion, and instead it has to fade out, like the song's going nowhere. Northern Industrial Town hit me quite hard when I paid closer attention to the lyrics, and I realised what Billy was doing. Bravo, Mr. Bragg. Bravo indeed. The 14th of February has lovely flow with the strings, but the lyrics just don't pop out to me. And then the last two tracks are just so forgettable, so I have to skip them. In 97, Billy gave us the EP Bloke On Bloke, and it's pretty good. The Boy Done Good has a catchy chorus. There's quite a lot of restraint in the arrangement also, as I could easily see a guitar solo as well as a more brash production style over this one in the hands of someone else. Track 2 is fine, the shorter length helps it. And here we go, the return of Sugar Daddy. So this one is a remix, and the production improves this track very much, such as at 1 minute and 5 seconds. Use this as an example compared to the original recording to see what I mean. And then track 4, Never Had No One Ever. I like the Smiths version, but I love Billy's version. The horns fit perfectly, and that sax solo, my god. The bass is a standout, and Billy's performance at 1 minute and 51 seconds is awesome. Track 6 could grow on me more, that's why I don't totally skip it. And then track 7 is great all round from the production, instrumentation, and performance. Solid track. And now we arrive at this masterpiece. So for those who don't know the story behind this, Woody Guthrie died in 1967, and his daughter Nora Lee discovered thousands of unused lyrics her father had left behind and invited Billy Bragg to bring them to life. Bragg, wanting an American counterpart, teamed up with Wilco, and together they wrote new music for Guthrie's words. During the sessions, as documented in the 1999 documentary Man in the Sand, it shows Billy and Wilco struggling to work together, and some have said it's a miracle that the sessions came out like they did. And as you can see, I love this album. It's up there as being one of the best rated albums in the series so far, with 53% of the album being pillars and 47% being keepers. No skippers and not even any potential growers or background tracks, just all pillar and keepers. It's a super strong start with 3 pillars in a row as well, starting with Walt Whitman's Niece. The gang's vocals elevate this sing-along into a pillar. Track 2, California Stars. I love this one. It's one of my all-time favourite songs. I love hearing it. I love performing it. And it's really fun to play with others. And when I first heard Way Over the Yonder in the minor key, I was immediately reminded of the Gaslight Anthem's Red at Night, which it turns out was heavily borrowing from this track. I adore both tracks and I couldn't choose between them. Natalie Merchant does the backing on Way Over Yonder and takes the lead vocals on Birds and Ships. She has a delicately beautiful voice for it, similar to Cara Tivi. I also really love track 5 Hoodoo Voodoo. It's such a fun lift of energy, it's got a great groove, and Jeff Tweedy's breathy performance is perfect. Track 6 wasn't an immediate keeper, it had to grow on me, but it did. And then track 7, Am I Window Sad and Lonely, gets caught in my head quite often. It's such a simple song of aching, done achingly brilliantly. Ingrid Bergman is another simple one, and I particularly love the placement of this song in this album. Christ for President has a similar energy to Hoodoo Voodoo, such a groove, and Jeff is perfect again. I Guess I Planted is a strange title, and it's one of my favourite songs of all time again, possibly. This is unity captured in music, it's up there as being one of the best sing-alongs, and I just wish it went on for longer. On track 11, One by One, the fade in at the start and then the fade out at the end works perfectly. Every aspect of this song is lush. Isla on the Go is another pillar. The atmosphere crafted on this track is incredible. Some of the best production I've found. There's an old-time feel to Hesitating Beauty. It is a little odd that Woody would have written a song from the perspective of his daughter's lover. However, it does say something about Woody's writing abilities that it's not at all creepy. Another Man's Done Gone is a lovely short track, and I love the piano chords transition lick. And then the final track, The Unwelcome Guest, grew on me big time. It's one that you need to focus on the lyrics more to get the most out of it. It's a beautiful track to finish this volume and showcase the brilliance of Woody Guthrie. For the second volume of Mermaid Avenue, it's not quite as brilliant as the first volume. It took a few listens as there's more growers than immediate lovers. Airline to Heaven has a great energy to open up on. Billy brings a childlike wonder to Woody's lyrics on My Flying Saucer. Great track. With track 3, Feed of Man, it's another energy switcheroo. Wilco deliver a dark western rocking track, and it works very well. Track 4, Hot Rod Hotel, goes even further into the dark western atmosphere, but this time it's Billy, and he nails it. And again, another change in sound direction. Natalie Merchant is back and gives us a solo acoustic performance of what sounds like a timeless folk song. I love it. On track 6, Secrets of the Sea, Wilco are reminding me of the Shins here. That is a compliment, however the song isn't popping out to me. Stetson Kennedy also doesn't do anything to pop out for me, it's the weakest song on the album. On track 8, Remember the Mountain Bed, the acoustic guitar sounds like Norwegian wood in the intro. And on track 9, Blood of the Lamb, the 2/4 time signature creates a circus sounding tune that works really well for it. Now, track 10, Against the Law, is hands down the standout track of the album, and one of the best tracks to come out of the sessions as well. I adore this track. Billy sings a version on the 2000 compilation album, Till We Outnumber 'Em, which was a live concert of Woody Guthrie's music set up by his daughter, Nora Lee. Billy's no match for Corey Harris's performance here, it has to be said though. All You Fascists is another pillar. The energy on this recording is unmatched in live performances, sadly. With track 12, I know almost nothing of baseball, but apparently this Joe DiMaggio guy was pretty good at it, and this is a fun celebratory song for him. Alright, so track 13, Meanest Man, and we have Tom Waits' energy from Billy. It's the most aggressive he sounded in all of his music, and he makes a believable mean man. On track 14, Black Wind Blowing, it feels like they applied all the same production from Isla on the Go to this one. Brilliant. And on track 15, Wilco finish off with a very relaxing closer. Billy is back to his own project with England Half English in 2002, and it's a good one. What a run he's been on at this point. Saint Monday is a fun one to open up on. It's close to a pillar, but the bridge is a bit iffy for me. It's similar again with Jane Allen, where the bridge is a weaker point, preventing it from being a pillar. Distant Shore is a lovely track that had me thinking about how it's more relevant today than perhaps it was in 2002. But really, there's almost always been refugees, and we're sadly only going to see way more of it as the world becomes more destabilised. I recognise that track 4, England Half English, is very Marmite for people, but I'm into it. Into the song, I mean. I've never had Marmite. No Power Without Accountability is Billy at his best. It's an essential track. Some Days I See the Point is solid, and Baby Farouk, I love it. The riff, drums, Billy's melody, and the backing vocals come together so well. It's one of his most underrated, it would appear. With Take Down the Union Jack, Billy's right. The Union Jack really does clash with the sunset. I could say a whole lot more about my hatred for the Union Jack, but I'll just leave it at that. Another Kind of Judy is the only skipper on this album, and I just can't come around to this track. It's easily the most skippable track. He'll Go Down has similarly gorgeous backing vocals to Baby Farouk, and on Dread Belly, Billy goes ska, and I like it. So the final track, Tears of My Tracks, is not to be confused with his previous cover of Tracks of My Tears. This is an original about him selling his vinyl. It's a good way to end a very solid album. Another 2006 reissue sees another bonus disc with bonus tracks, and this is where we get to see a lot more skips. The opening cover of Ian Jury's Billericay Dicky is enjoyable for me, and I much prefer this over the original as well. Billy's performance fits well, and the production on the guitars with the Eastern sounding scale, which is supposedly the Phrygian dominant scale for you theory lovers. I know you're out there. I also like the demo version of Tears of My Tracks. This version is more up-tempo, and I can get with it. I also like Dry Bed. Like the track before it, this is a Woody Guthrie tune, and I like Billy's cover of this. It has the same child spirit Billy gave us on My Flying Saucer. This one is perhaps a bit harder to explain if you were to play it in public though. Okay, so Mr. Love and Justice in 2006 is not Billy at his best, in my opinion. The opening track is one of the easiest skips, but I Almost Killed You is a big improvement. M for Me is closer to being a keeper than a skipper. The Beach is Free is the best on the album, but that's not really saying much. Similar to M for Me, Sing Their Souls Back Home is closer to being a keeper than a skipper. With track 7, Something Happened, the lyrics are what let this one down for me. I gotta say, on track 8, I don't know if it's just me, but does Billy sound like he isn't comfortable during the song or something? Track 11 had potential, but the chorus is very clunky. Yeah, we're not spending much time on this one. Let's move on. In 2012, Billy and Wilco released the third volume from the Mermaid Avenue sessions. While this is the weakest of the trilogy, there's still some gems here. It also feels better to place the trilogy back to back to back in Billy's discography, especially with how much younger Billy sounds here compared to on Mr. Love and Justice. Considering how much I didn't enjoy Mr. Love and Justice, to hear Billy on Bug-Eyed Jim, it is just night and day difference. Billy sounds incredible on this great opener. With track 4, I love how this is one where we get to hear Jeff backing Billy clearly as well. I would have liked to have had a little bit more of that across more of the tracks in these sessions. On track 7, I enjoy the drum-like production. It's not quite full-blown George Harrison, but that's alright. On Chain of Broken Hearts, I don't like the stereo panning on this one, and I don't like the bridge. It would be a keeper otherwise. Don't You Marry is very similar in sound and arrangement to Bug-Eyed Jim. It's even the same length. We have 3 pillars in a row next, so first is Give Me a Nail from Billy, and I love the simplicity of this one. Next up is The Jolly Banker, where it's another one of Woody's best concepts. Wilco do a great job at bringing it to life. And Union Prayer is another perfect track. The reverb makes this sound absolutely epic. And after a few skips, we finished the trilogy off with this very solid closer. Billy is sounding quite like Bruce Springsteen yet again on I'm Out to Get. On Tooth and Nail in 2013, it's 7 years since Mr. Love and Justice. While it's clear that Mr. Love and Justice is a matured Billy, Tooth and Nail is the album that every artist in this stage of their career wishes they could make. The mood is set by the first 2 tracks. It's a smooth, easy listening acoustic affair, but most importantly, most of the songs range from decent enough to solid. There's little politics to be found either, more so hints of it with the philosophical do unto others. Billy focuses mostly on love songs here, my favourite of which being Your Name on My Tongue, which is a truly underrated gem. Billy's next adventure saw him pair up with Joe Henry, an album of live recordings performing old folk and blues songs at different locations on the Great American Railroad. It's pretty much just Billy and Joe with their acoustic guitars and the sound of the public ambience. The recordings came out very well, and it's down to the songs themselves that dictated whether I kept them or not. The best song for me being the L and N Don't Stop Here Anymore. Joe's vocals back up Billy's lead vocals perfectly on this one. Billy returns to politically charged songs on the Bridges Not Walls EP in 2017, and it's pretty good. For the opening track, The Sleep of Reason, I don't enjoy the production at all on this one, nor the song itself. I gotta skip this one. Really, really grates on me. And thankfully for track 2, King Tide and the Sunny Day Flood, the production is closer to that of Tooth and Nail on this track. It's overtly about man-made climate change, and while I enjoy the tune, I find that the overtness in the message is something that can veer into being cringe. It teeters the line a little too much for me. Since it's in the title, I highly recommend the film The King Tide. It's not related beyond the name, it's just a great small budget film I reckon a lot of people would enjoy if you're here watching this. On Why We Build the Wall, while Billy overdid it on the first track, the production works much better here as well. Other than a slightly older sounding Billy and drier sounding vocals, this could fit onto Billy's first 2 albums, and it surprised me to discover that this is a cover of Anais Mitchell. Anais Michelle. This is so hard to say, I don't know why. Anais Mitchell. On Sophia Smiles, I like the verses a lot, but the chorus and outro lose me. And on track 5, Not Everything That Counts Can Be Counted, it's the highlight of the EP. I find it even more relevant today in 2025, and I trust that it'll only be more relevant as time goes on. With the final track, Full English Brexit. Alright, as someone who grew up with a dad who ate kippers, the idea that there's food that smells worse is actually hilarious. Obviously excluding the durian fruit and surströmming from Sweden. But anyways, back to the song. The first person framing Billy does here works to carry the message a lot better than King Tide does. And we're on to Billy's latest album from 2021, and it's mostly a miss for me with just a couple of tracks I keep. I don't have an awful lot to say about this one, so I'll just end it there. And there we have it. That's Billy Bragg's illustrious career covered. Something tells me we'll be seeing more of him still, as he's ever present speaking out on political platforms, and I'll be keeping up with Billy for sure. Thanks for watching this episode. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. Drop me a comment on where you agree or disagree, or share something interesting that I may have missed. Alright, peace and love, bye 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 bye.